Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Chad Benicum. I am the president this year of MISORVA, and would like to take a moment and welcome you all to our unexpected virtual groomer workshop this year. It seems like just when you think that everything has settled down, it didn't. Appreciate everybody being able to pivot and join us in the evenings here for the next couple days. Um, and switch to this format again, like we did during COVID. So appreciate everybody's flexibility and being able to still get this information out there and share some ideas and some information. So appreciate everybody being here. Um, with that, I think everybody knows Karen that was speaking on the phone, our executive director. But there's Karen, if Karen wants to say hi to everybody real quick.
Hi, everyone. I'm really glad that you're here. And again, I will echo what Chad had to say. And thank you so much for joining along with us because this one went quickly. We didn't find out until last week on Friday that the Kewadin was closed. And I don't think they even opened the hotel until Wednesday. So it was just too close to cut and they couldn't guarantee what was going to happen. And so we rapidly changed our direction. I also would like to introduce Gina. If you can turn your camera on. Gina's working in the office with me. She worked there for a year and she took a little couple month hiatus and now she's back with us and she's kind of taking over the planning of the events and things and getting things moving along. So you'll be getting more and more familiar with Gina as we move forward. She's your contact at the office for anything you need. And if she can't help you, she knows where to go to get the help that you will need. So get to know her, give her a call. She's kind of mean, but just a little bit.
I can't bite the phone though.
And again, thank you all for coming. So.
All right. And with that, now that we've said hello, and for those of you that were at Groomer Workshop last year, I think most of you met Gina. Gina was with us last year at Groomer Workshop, right, Karen?
Nope, she was not at
No?
Groomer Workshop
Oh,
last
I
year.
thought she was with us
Nope,
last
she
year.
had
All
it.
right.
She got left back at the office. She was keeping the home fires
All right.
burning for us. Stacy was
All
there,
right.
a
Well,
friend of mine. So
Stacy. Oh, that's right. All right.
yep.
Well, with this, I'm gonna go ahead. The first thing that we'll share tonight is a little presentation that Karen had me put together on importance of trail reporting and sharing accurate trail reporting on social media. So I will be speaking from the experience in my club for those of you, again, another introduction. I am the vice president of Kewadin Snowmobile Club up in the tip of the UP. So that's where my experience comes from and what brought me to MISORVA. I am newer to the program. I've been in the snowmobile program for about 4 years on the sponsor side of things, and then with MISORVA for the past couple of years. So with that, I will share my screen here.
Chad, Gina, and I can help you with comments too, because it's a little cumbersome to try to watch comments and raise hands and all the things. So Gina and I will be here to help you with that as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Oh, looks like to share my screen, I'm going to have to leave and come right back. So sorry. I don't normally use Zoom, so I'll be right back.
Well, that was fun. Where did he pop in? Yes, Joe, technology is fantastic when it works. Okay, Chad, I've made you co-host, so you should be able to share your screen now. And you're doing it. There we go. Chad, if you're speaking, no one can hear you. We got no speaker.
Can you hear me now?
Now
There
we
we
can
are.
hear you. There
All
you
right.
go.
Jeez Louise. All right. All right. Let's see. Again, just a few things to share with you tonight regarding information sharing on social media. So just kind of the first point to bring up, and some of these, again, seem very obvious in saying them, but the more that users see them, the better, and the more that hopefully it sinks in. So proactive communication. So communicating if you have safety hazards on your trails, that could be, tree down, bad conditions on a particular trail, in the case of, unfortunately, a thing that we live in all of our clubs at times, a machine breaks down on the side of the trail, or even worse, in the middle of the trail, and you're not able to get it off to the side. Communicating that, a lot of
Snowmobile Association. Join the meeting.
a lot of folks do have social media and pay attention. I will say this on the opposite side of it. I'm not a personal social media person. I basically only have a Facebook page to be able to do stuff for the club page. This is really shared from the club perspective. Trail closures, unfavorable conditions. If you're, conditions that we have right now. So tonight here in the Kewadin, it's going to start snowing, but last night, unfortunately, it was warm, and we did not go groom last night because it was too warm, and we would have done more harm than good. So communicating things like that to folks, people appreciate it, lets them know how to plan their rides. Events are large group rides, which is what this example would be over on the side. We have a large event that takes place that we share our trails with every year, called the Copper Dog 150 sled dog race, and we share our trails for that weekend. So we share this information several times leading up to that and let people know. Again, people that visit our area quite often know that information, but people that are newer might not know that and might be like, what the heck are these crazy sled dogs doing on the sides of the trail? Reminders of trail etiquette, always stopping at stop signs is something that folks seem to forget often. From a club perspective, that we see all the time. And then, of course, riding right. So making sure that folks are riding safely and riding right. So communicating all of those things on social media can be a powerful message when it's coming from the club itself. and not necessarily some of these third-party sites that are just about, you know, cool snowmobiling stuff. Accurate trail information. So being the source of the accurate information for your area. So a lot of information online, we all know, can get skewed and can go any number of ways. So I would like to think that us as clubs want to share the accurate information of what our trails look like. I think that we're all, you know, pretty honest about how our trails are and what they look like. And sometimes that's not necessarily good. So you know, again, an example of a post here that's not necessarily a good one. 40 degrees and we're on pause for the evening. Those are not necessarily nice things to share, but again, informs the rider, gives them perspective, and lets them know what it's doing. And we've also seen a lot of times that information can get skewed by businesses that are just trying to draw people to the area, and then will give the club, you know, a hard time. Why aren't you out there doing things? You know, I called X, Y, or Z and they said it was great. And it's like, I have no idea why they would have told you that. So trying to provide the most accurate information from your club page is always a great thing. Improving relationships. This one's a big one, or has been a big one for us here in the Keweenaw. So area businesses appreciate being able to repost an accurate trail report. So again, being accurate and honest about what your trail conditions are, they appreciate that. And then secondly, the Convention and Visitors Bureaus in your local area or Chamber of Commerce appreciate the accurate information to pull consumers into your area. So for us, increased presence on social media and being honest and fair about the information that we're sharing really helped us build a very strong relationship with our Convention and Visitors Bureau here, which led to some good funding opportunities in the form of advertising and some different things. So can be a nice opportunity there. And again, I mean, as you can see by most of these posts, they don't necessarily have to be long or anything crazy, but just try to keep them, you know, as accurate and succinct as you can, and go about it that way. Again, as I just kind of spoke to there in the last slide, advertising opportunities. So for us at our club, we provide additional advertising opportunity as an add-on when we sell our memberships to businesses in the area. So it's another level of membership to be able to be featured on our social media. So you can see an example here of a post for Magnus and Copper Crown Hotel, paid for another level up of membership to be able to be put out on our social media. Because again, following and you get the word out there. So even it's the riders that are coming to your area are going to be seeing this information, right? A lot of the riders are looking up what clubs are in that area, not necessarily, again, just the cool snowmobiling pages. They're looking for the clubs in the area. And so then they're seeing these type of advertisements. And the last point on this one here is really important and something that we really double down on in our social media and when speaking to people everywhere. Let riders know to support businesses that support you. So whether that be, this isn't necessarily in social media, but we publish a map every year. Support those people that buy ads on our map. Support those people that you see on our social media. Support those people that buy memberships with us. Because if people understand how the program works works in Michigan, they know that you need more to run your club than what the DNR funding provides. We all have, a lot of us have barns to run, and things that go above and beyond what DNR funding is there for. So this is how we get a lot of that funding. So letting riders and consumers in your area know, support those that support us, is always a great message. And I threw this one in there because this is one that Karen said that she's had a bunch of people ask about. Is so on our social media, kind of a little story, I guess, time. So when I first got involved in doing social media for our club, it was overwhelmingly negative comments, and pretty nasty at times. And we made the decision as a board to turn off commenting on our posts. So if somebody wants to send us a nasty message, that's fine. We can filter through that before it gets to our groomer drivers and the people that are out there doing the work. But we made that decision as a board because it was overwhelmingly negative. And a lot of it was local people that rode the trails quite often, and just maybe didn't like the person that was driving the groomer in that area that day or something. And so we didn't really see a change in engagement, for those that are familiar with social media, but didn't really see a change in like followers or how many people our posts were reaching by doing that. So just an example here of how you can go in and turn off the comments for a post. Once you post it, you can go in and click the three little ellipses in the upper right-hand corner, and click on who can comment on this post. And then if you click on only profiles and pages that you mention, that'll just be you if you don't mention anybody else in the post. If you mention another business, say it was a business shout out and you mentioned Christ gas station, Christ would be able to comment on that post, but they would be the only ones. So just an example there of if that's something that you run into, or if it's a post that you feel maybe is going to be particularly controversial, and don't really want to deal with that, a way to do that and to limit all that negativity, because we all know as volunteers that not always going to be perfect, but I think we all try to do what we can to make it as good as we can, but it's never good enough for everybody that's involved. So yeah, so I just wanted to go over those few things with everybody. For us, again, social media has made a huge difference in being able to sell advertising revenue. For us, again, we sell like a map every year. And again, social media is another level of membership for businesses to be able to be featured on our social media. And it's a good revenue generator, for our club. So just kind of an example of some ways to do that and information to share and what's been successful for us. So with that, I can open it up if anybody has any questions.
I was just curious, sled dog events. When you host those or when you have those ongoing, is that something the DNR are the trails, is it dual use at that time? Then snowmobiles can come across sled dogs on the trail. How do you operate that way?
Yeah, so it is a separate entity that runs the sled dog event, and they do get permitted through the DNR. And so yes, we just ask snowmobilers to share the trails while those events are going on. It's pretty limited times throughout the day that the sled dogs are actually on the trail. They start out Friday night and about midnight. Anyways, so it's a little but yes, we ask that folks share during those times, but they are permitted through the DNR.
A lot of the clubs, when they use their trails as well, they have signs that they put up out a ways so the people are aware of it. So we avoid some of the conflict. Or at least they used to.
Yeah, this year so that race just happened this past weekend up here, and the race staff shared with us after the fact that it was overwhelmingly a very, very, very positive year and positive interactions with snowmobilers. And the mushers were really impressed. We've received several emails over the past couple of days from mushers from the race that were really impressed with the snowmobilers that they interacted with. So it was really nice to hear that it was not contentious at all.
Right. That's awesome. So I don't know how many of you are updating on the MISORVA website, but that's real easy to do as well. And I try to go on and pull some of your posts off from Facebook and update, but truthfully, nor Gina nor I have time to do that. But every now and again, I'll have a couple hours that I can work on that. But to share your information, once you have it on your social media, let me just share my screen here. If you go to our website, there's a login down here. You simply click that and it brings you right into your page. This is the back. So we're going to go into a different one here. We'll try this one. These are obviously ones that I've used for them. So once you save your information, it brings you right there. You can use this page to update your club information. You can put pictures on it. It's yours to use. So by clicking the add media, you click it, you find the file that you want to add in there, and you put it up here, it uploads it. Then you can choose any ones that you want. And I don't want to change anything on their page for them because they're obviously using it. And then you can update. Some of the clubs will update, and they put it on top. All the updates are on the top, and they just go down the page. Some of them take it down every day. They put a brand new, fresh one up. It's up to each of you to do that. Gina and I get numerous complaints from people because they're trying to find accurate posts. We don't make any money off this. This is for you guys to use. This is how, we have it here for you. We want you to use it. We've got an easy way for them to get there. There's also the maps. These maps, TrackMaps has been fantastic about keeping these updated with changes and different things. You see this one's got some temporary closures. Once these get fixed, if they get fixed, they contact TrackMaps. TrackMaps sends us a new page, and I can get that changed up for you real quick like. So that's really a nice feature. And I know I've worked with some clubs and they were really struggling with how to get those updates. It's all simply copy paste. If you typed it onto your Facebook page, you can click over to here. You have your login information that's saved in there, which originally we couldn't do. It was awful. We've changed that. You save that information, it takes you right in there, and you can do the updates. The map on the front, we've gotten some issues with that because that's a big change for us. That's going to be a very expensive change for us, and so we haven't done that yet. but it looks like, I'm sure you guys have seen this, but see, so some of these have changed just a little bit. I know UP Central is gone, and we've had other clubs absorb their trails. So the maps are right. The names up there are wrong. So I think Canada Creek is no longer Canada Creek. That is Great Lakes Dual Supporters is doing that one. So there's some changes there, but that was a bigger change for them to do because of the linking in the backside of it. So we're kind of, but they're all listed as well down here. So they're all there. We make it as easy as possible for them to get there. So they're getting there, but they're not seeing updates. That's the folks are struggling with that. So we're gonna make, we just hope that you use it all year, because you can direct them to that. You can put membership forms on there. Some of the clubs have gone so far as they put a whole membership form on there. They can sign up for their club, for your club right there. Use that page for anything that you want to get out publicly to your riders, to your members, to anyone. And let's try to drive some traffic there and be the spot that they go and look for the conditions to come to your area, because everybody knows that the snow excites people, and the more we can get them excited, the better off we are. So is there any questions or anything I can answer on that for anyone?
Not a question, but I wanted to let you know, I've been taking our MISORVA post and then copying that and then sharing that on with our Convention and Visitors Bureau, newspaper, Recreation Commission. So it's pretty easy to do. You can just copy and paste it into an email also.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for that, Mr. Coe. I appreciate that. Anybody else got any tips and tricks that they're using for their social media or to drive people to your area to ride? Because when they come there to ride, they're going to spend their money there. And that's what you want. You're doing this for your community as much as for yourselves. Nobody's sharing no tricks. Come on.
Oh, you know me, I can't shut up. So I had a thought that if you guys can track the amount of people that and post on the MISORVA website their trail updates, doing awards for the people that post the most or post anything like that. That could be something else we could do for MISORVA for our club members that post on the website.
Sure. I have a feeling Kewadin might win that because they send one out every single day. Every day Kewadin sends out. They have someone that takes care of it, and she sends it out every day. Saturday, Sunday, holidays, she doesn't care. She's telling you what's going on with the snow and the skiing and the other activities in the Kewadin. She does a fantastic job. And you sign up for those emails and she just sends them. Teacher's pet.
Cool.
Could be. That very well could be.
The snowmobiling part of that comes from us, Karen, and then she compiles all of them and sends them out.
Right, which is awesome. It's a great email every single day. And I'm not going to lie and tell you that I read it every single day, but I probably read it a couple times a week just to see what's going on up there. She does a nice job. Like I said, they update everything though. And you can do that for your community if they're having a Winterfest or they're having a Gun Lake just had one. And I think Scott Madison's club was part of that as well. And you can post those things, but we've got to get them pushing that way to get those reports, which is going to take everybody. It's going to take all of us getting those reports up there. It's one more step. And I know it's a lot because you guys do a ton. You are the backbone. You do more than most with this particular recreation, because it's so back and forth. It's so dependent on the weather, and when there's lots of snow, that's when they want to know, and that's when you're the busiest. So it's difficult, but sometimes you can get away for a sister or a cousin that will help with those updates, or she grabs them off her Facebook page and just puts them over there. You know, it's amazingly helpful for everyone.
Karen, if somebody has a question, how to set it up the first time, just get a hold of you or Gina.
Yep, because it changes. We do ask that you don't put a link there to your own pages and take them off from our site. That's the only thing we don't allow you to do. And we've had some that did that, you know.
Say that again, Karen.
So they'll go in the back side of the website, back to the back side of their page, where I showed you how to get into there,
Yep.
and they just put a link there. For trail conditions, click here. Takes them completely off from our website. So we don't allow them to do that. But we know that there's some savvy people out there, and we just contact them and say, look, you can't, that doesn't help us out. That's not getting us, because people do pay to advertise and things on our site as well. And so we want to drive that traffic. No more than, be someone robbing your post and taking them to someplace else. Just not really the right thing to do. Hijacking. I think they call that hijacking.
So I have a question. I posted it in the chat. Can we put a counter on our individual page, trail report page, to see how many people are looking at it?
We have analytics. There's analytics on the back side. We've never.
We can get that information from you.
We can, if you call the office, we can get it for you. Certainly, Scott.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we'll probably have to do some refining and get it back going, because they've done a lot of changes to the back side of the website and worked on it and things. But yes, there are analytics that are hooked up to that to see. And I can tell you right now, it's going to be very down because most of them aren't being updated. So that's frustrating as well, because it is a direct cost to the association to have the website.
I'm selfish and just worried about mine.
And you know what? That's what I hope every sponsor does, is be worried about your page, be worried about your club. Absolutely. Absolutely. But if everybody benefits from it, that's even better. Any other thoughts?
I post the link on our Facebook page to link right to the MISORVA, to our page on MISORVA too. We put
That's
a
a good
copy
idea,
of it
Scott.
on there and put a link right on there so they can click right to it and find everybody else's too.
That's an awesome idea, Scott. Great idea. That's helpful as well. We appreciate that. For everyone, Scott Madison is the secretary for MISORVA. Mark Pankner here is our treasurer. Chad is our president. I don't think Todd's on
Yeah,
tonight.
I don't see Todd.
No, I don't. Jim Keltz is a past president. Scott Burby is our legislative chair. You're going to be talking with him pretty soon here. Karen is also a board member. Lots of our board members, which is awesome. Lots of DNR, lots of board members. It's awesome. It's a great group tonight. I know we've got some new ones on there from some clubs that we didn't mention earlier too. So I think Gina's trying to put that together, and we'll talk about that later on. I want to make sure we have a good list of our the clubs that are in attendance, what clubs you're with. If you could put them right in the chat as well, if that works for you, and we'll make sure we get them all. I see Aaron's got it on his page. He's Moose Country. So that works also. You know, it's a conversation we have with DNR. It kind of shows the value of the event. which I think DNR partners are seeing the value of the event. So that's not such a big deal. But for us, for our manufacturers, they want to know how many clubs are there. Of 67 last year, our in-person event had 48 clubs. We had representatives from 48 of the 67 clubs, which is huge. It goes up every year, which is awesome, by 1 or 2 clubs. So that's really great that they're in new faces, lots and lots of new faces up there, up at the when we do it in person. And we will be back in person next year, barring any other complications. I don't think the casino part is even open yet. They just opened this past Wednesday, the hotel reservations. So they got knocked down hard with that ransomware, which is unfortunate. For sure. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Anything else you're doing that's cool in your club? Come on, Mr. Nori. I know you guys do lots of cool stuff. You guys have built your club up amazingly well. Share some of your secrets.
We just got done with a really fun ride, a dice run that we had. Turned out great. We learned that from the people up at the Sioux last year when we were at Groomer Workshop. We've got a big fundraiser coming up next month. We're trying to raise funds for a groomer barn. And that's about, those are our big things that we've been working on.
We use that page. I don't know if you are or not. I haven't looked. Use your page on our website. It's free. And that's where Gina and I drive them to. Go to the website. That's, there's not much more we can tell them than that. We don't give out people's phone numbers. We don't tell them that they can call you, even though they ask. You got to know somebody up there. I said, yeah, we know a lot of people up there, but yeah, nope, we can't do that. Nobody wants that. So we drive them to the website and hope that, it's being updated. And then that's when they usually email or call us and say, I did, and there's nothing. Now I need answers.
Well, that's probably one of the most underutilized things that we do is we don't share enough stuff on your web page there. I guess I got to get somebody in charge of that.
Right. And I certainly understand it's one more thing to do, but we also add your events onto our calendar that's on the website. Gina does a great job of that. She adds in your, come on calendar. All of the events. Well, if it would load, it would. Well, that's kind of crazy. Normally you can see there's a link that they can add it right into their calendar for you, which is a really nice feature. We didn't used to have that either. So once they click on your event, there's a add to my calendar and it'll dump it right in their calendar for them. But for some reason, our calendar is not loading. Kind of crazy.
I was going to say, Karen, because of that relationship that we built with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, we were able to produce that safety video. We could show that to people.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
A pretty cool thing.
Let me stop because it's not loading what I want to show you anyway. So go ahead, Chad. You want to tell them a little bit about what you did and how it came to fruition for you?
Yeah,
Chad's been doing
I
lots
can
of
share.
lots of videos.
I can share here. Go. So like I said, we've kind of built a much better relationship with our local Convention and Visitors Bureau. And we were able to secure funding through them and actually use their video production team. They have funding for producing these types of things. And we're able to produce a safety video kind of specific to our area. And the idea was that we wanted to produce it and distribute it to our local rental companies, because that's like one of the #1 complaints that we hear in our area, is about rentals and inexperienced riders on rentals. So we kind of put together what we felt were the necessary items. So Visit Kewadin that you see down here is our local Convention and Visitors Bureau. And so together we produced this little 3-minute safety video with some points from DNR, some points from us, and some points from them.
Oh, we're not getting the sound, Chad.
Oh no. Crap. I don't know how to share the sound then.
Is it just because it's turned way down? Try turning your volume up. Nope, down here, Chad, down at the bottom by your play button is where I was thinking. Yeah.
No, it's all the way
I
up
don't
down
think it's all
there.
yet.
I was just thinking maybe it has to be shared.
Is it on YouTube? Well, obviously
Yeah.
it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah. I guess I'm not
Darn.
sure. Darn. Well, anyways, I can link it in the chat, and maybe we'll take a little break here before we start our next thing, and those that are interested can take a look if they'd like. But kind of a cool project when you build some of those relationships. Again, they have some sometimes they have some funding for those things that sometimes we're not, clubs don't have. So I put that out there. Oh, this says direct message. I can send out a message here to everybody. There we go. And maybe we'll, Karen, do you think maybe we'll take a few minutes before we start our 7 o'clock here? So people need to use the restroom or grab a snack or anything?
There's snacks.
Well, I guess that snacks are provided by yourself.
Virtual snacks. Keeping the calories down.
You're muted, Karen, if you're trying to talk.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's working for her either.
Is that working or not?
No, that's not working.
Darn. Okay.
But, well, like I said, I put the link out there for everybody. Maybe we'll just take a few minutes here before we start our 7 o'clock legislative committee with SAW. Take a few minutes here for folks to use the restroom or grab a beverage of your choice, since we're all at home here. and reconvene here at a couple minutes to 7. That works for everybody.
That works great, Chad. We'll be back here at 7.
All right,
Mr.
sounds
Burby.
great.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you back here in a few minutes.
It's 7:01. And our next presentation is going to come from the Legislative Committee and the SAW members. We have several SAW members. I am actually the chair, recently nominated to the chair position of the SAW committee, as well as Chad Van Bennekom is the vice chair of the committee. We have Joe Kuchnecki on the committee. Jim Couts is also a SAW member. And the reason I bring this up, and if you guys SAW members want to turn your cameras on so they can get a visual on you, that'd be awesome. Joe, you're just going to have your name because he isn't going to have a camera. But Scott Lacombe, he's also on the SAW committee. These guys are here working for you guys. So when you have issues or you need help or you have questions, they're all here to help you, navigate through the program and do the, get questions answered or things elevated that need to be. We have a lot of new contacts in the program and they're learning. So we need to be gentle, be nice to them because they're trying to learn. But if they're telling you something wrong, then we need to go on up the chain and make sure we get things straightened out. Where are you, Scott? Do you have there he is. Scott Burby is our legislative chair for MISORVA, of that committee. We had a meeting with Representative Martin recently, who has been taking note of the angry riders out there that we have in the state with the damage that's being done on the snowmobile trails. They're seeing it. They're seeing both sides of it. They're trying to figure out a way to make things better. So Scott and I met with him. Scott joined me at the legislative, the State of the State down there. He met lots of legislators. It was an awesome experience. So he took the representative took us to task. So at this time, I'm gonna pass this off to Scott Burby and let him tell you a little bit about what the plan is and what we were asked of from the representative.
Good evening, folks. I'm Scott Burby. Yeah, I was kind of just sitting quietly in the corner when Karen had that meeting, but it was interesting. It was interesting to hear the topic that we were actually going to talk about, and he was already hearing about it on the other side of it. So it was kind of like it was meant to be, so to speak. So much like Chad, I've been with MISORVA for a couple years now. Just became the legislative chair this year. I've been a snowmobile rider for 30 some years, same with dirt bikes, and been a CCC member for as long as I can remember. Both my kids do this stuff, so it's kind of it's in my DNA, I guess. So if I can figure out how to do this better than Chad, then
use this. Yep, there you go, Scott.
Is that working? Look at that. Already doing better. Sorry, Chad, I had to.
No, I appreciate that. Good for you.
Okay, so this evening we're just going to run through a few of some topics that we had that have come up. A brief introduction, but we're going to go over some primary goals. Pardon?
Join the meeting.
Okay. We're going to go over some primary goals and some potential complications that we've already outlined, but I'm sure we're probably going to come across more. And then, of course, some benefits. And then Karen's going to let you guys do a little bit of comments and questions and so on and so forth, which we're going to try and hold them to 3 minutes each, but we'll see how that goes. So obviously, MISORVA is the voice of the snowmobile and ORV users. We're working to find unique solutions, create safer recreation in Michigan. The one thing I came in here with in my mind, and this is just from conversations with talking to Paul, creating new legislation only works if we have enforcement. So what can we do where we don't necessarily have to depend on legislation? So this evening, we're hoping to get some feedback, kind of see where everybody's thoughts are with this. We're wanting to see if we can propose separating as many of the multi-use trails in the state of Michigan as possible. That's going to take a collaborative effort from everybody. And I mean everybody, from horses to mountain bikers to dirt bikers to snowmobilers and RVers. It's not going to be just a one-person show. So our main goal is going to be user safety. That's always going to be user safety. Attempt to reduce the conflicts that we've seen with wheeled vehicles on the snowmobile trails. I've personally seen horses on the dirt bike trails. You do your best not to spook them, but we're both supposed to be there, and I kind of feel bad that my machine's going to scare them, but there could be an issue. You could have a rider get bucked off, or you could have, as that previous picture shows, this was actually from Paul Anderson, and they had an incident where truck was going down the trail and he caught the snowmobile rider, and thankfully the rider was okay. So also we've noted you might see some lowered maintenance costs. So if you're not getting the wheeled vehicle damage on your snowmobile trail, then you're not having to go out and repair it as often. A lot of these clubs are seeing rising maintenance costs associated with repairing damages, whether it be just trying to prep the trail ahead of the season, or if you get a lull in the season and we get a lack of snow and the guys get the itch and they start riding on these shared use trails, and then they start riding on the dedicated trails and trespassing, and it can just kind of explode from there. And then hopefully we can make a better working relationship with the DNR contacts. So, when your maintenance funds are needed for specific trails, there'd be less confusion. It'd be more straightforward order of operations. I mean, you can actually tell your contact, like, look, I'm working on this trail specifically. We need the money for that. And we're getting some feedback from sponsors that are getting good feedback, that their contacts are great. And then we're getting other feedback where they have a poor working relationship with contact. And, the goal is not meant to undermine the boots on the ground, so to speak, but, maybe understand where they're having struggles. Is the DNR contact having struggles, with his boss? And, he wants to help the club out, but he can't, or she. So pretty much just trying to figure out where the downfall is on that. And then better understanding of our user groups. That's probably one of the best ones to try and figure out, because if we don't know what the other person wants, we're just going to keep stomping on each other's toes. So, I mean, it might be a simple misunderstanding. We've talked, and Chad brought up the stuff with the rental riders and stuff, and people might not even know. Maybe it's just a lack of signage on some of the certain trails. It could be something more where you need to actually make a dedicated separate trail to get around something and just get them off the trail altogether. So, I mean, it could be related right back to safety. Then the biggest one that's going to take a lot is formulating the plan. So this is what Representative Martin was asking for, was what kind of a plan would we need to implement this? What is the undertaking? It's definitely going to take a collective effort from everybody, and each trail group is going to have to make their own plan. I mean, somebody might only need, just like I said, some new signs, and others, you might have a monumental task ahead of you, and just miles and miles of reroutes. But that's the stuff we need to start kind of gathering the information for, figuring out how big is this mountain. So we move this out of my way here. So some potential complications that we've seen or talked of or heard of is lack of DNR cooperation. I'm not trying to poke at anybody. I mean, the main question is, are the DNR contacts getting the support they need? Is it higher level leadership that just doesn't fully understand the program, or sometimes they might just not care? But this is where our legislators and representatives are starting to ask some questions. We've gotten some feedback, even so much as one of them wanted to bring Elon in. So it's going to be interesting how that would pan out. Land acquisitions, I could see land acquisitions being a hurdle. I know just from talking with Scott Madison, they have trouble just trying to get leases done for connecting into a city or a village or a town. And that definitely could be a hurdle for sure. But again, those are going to be the things we need to lay out. And then user group cooperation or conflicts. We kind of have to set our past grievances aside. It's not going to be easy. Every group is always going to have their naysayers, and they're going to have their scorn trail users who just had a bad experience and they're unwilling to see it any other way, and they're just set in stone. But I mean, in the end, that's the only way it's going to happen, is getting all the voices together. The bigger the squeaky wheel, the more oil we're going to get. So, and then back the feasibility of reroutes and new trails can kind of go hand in hand with land acquisitions. What do you need? Do you need just a couple miles, or there might be, I have a segment of trail that's going to have to stay dual use. I have no other option, but maybe we can make it wider. So we have a 1 mile connector that's dual use getting into town, and it's wider and it gets double groomed, and we have to put more signage up just to make sure everybody's on the same page as to which way you're supposed to go. I don't know. Again, that's all stuff that would have to be laid out and see where the groups think they're going to have to, start tackling it. Every group is pretty much their own expert. So, I mean, they know their own trails the best. But benefits, safety, user safety. I'm always going to have that as number one benefit, no matter what. If we can reduce potential user conflict, such as the wheeled vehicle damage on snowmobile trails, or having horses on your dirt bike trails, or mountain bikers on a cross country skiers trail. I mean, there's a lot of different things that everybody's going to have their own gripes. The silent sports are going to play a part in this, I think, as well as our motorized sports. So, but in the end, each trail group or user group is going to be able to maintain their own, rules and regulations better. And again, you're going to have more of a straightforward law enforcement approach. It's either you're allowed to be here or not, or we can gate this off now because we don't have to. We got low snow. We can lock the gates and keep them out. That's just some other. It's safety. I don't know. I could go on and on, I'm sure. Lower maintenance costs. Having separate trails is definitely going to allow for the user groups to maybe save a little bit. We're getting reports that snow clubs are using $10,000 to $20,000 a year just to repair damage before they even start snow grooming. To me, that's unacceptable. It's not needed. $10,000 to $20,000 could buy a lot of some good equipment or new signage. It could go to a lot of other stuff. You shouldn't have to be putting in almost 20 grand or more in gravel every single season. So a lot of these side by side people don't care. I mean, their machine's made for the rough trails. So what works for them isn't going to work for a snowmobile. But not using the snow funds to repair damage from a wheeled vehicle before the grooming starts is going to allow you to put that money towards something else, or just the fact that you have one less trip or 2 less trips a week to go out and repair damage that wasn't even necessary. I mean, that's wear and tear on a machine, that's fuel, that's a volunteer's time. So, and then proper disbursement of funds. We've discussed that briefly. That was, I think it just makes it more cut and dry. You know, ORV funds are for ORVs and snowmobiles for snow, and we can make it stay that way. And you know, you're gonna have, well, you could have if a snowmobile trail was dedicated snowmobile, you could be working on it year round instead of having to worry about, you know, all the ORVs that you're trying to use that shared trail with while you're trying to do your maintenance, and you might not even have to do some of that maintenance. But then you know exactly where some of the funds are coming from and going to. We've heard reports on that side of it that some of the, you know, the clubs will say, hey, where'd this money come from? And their DNR contact says, well, what's it matter? You're getting it paid, you're getting reimbursed, and it's you know, it's going to the trail. So, you know, I mean, in some aspects, yeah, it's going to the trail, but did it go to the right place? User accountability. If we're separating the trails out, you know, if you have no need to be there, then you're not supposed to be there, plain and simple. And it would be straightforward to promote the, you know, a safer recreation for somebody. You're not supposed to be there, so you potentially get ticketed. You know, that goes right into straightforward enforcement. With separate trails, there's less need for new legislation. Obviously, you know, I believe it only works if there's enough enforcement. We're hearing feedback that there's a lack of enforcement. I mean, the only way you can remedy that is with law enforcement agencies hiring more staff. And from the discussions I've had, even with our sheriff's office in my county down here, you know, around Ann Arbor, nobody wants to be a cop anymore. So it's getting tough to get more people out there. So having more laws doesn't always mean it's going to make it better. You got to catch them in the act. You know, a lot of this trail damage, I just got some from Paul a couple days ago, and it was on a snowmobile only section of trail. He believes it was from locals in the area, and they drove on the trail with their side by side. It made ruts and depressions because it was soft, and then it froze up. And, you know, if they're lucky enough to get more snow there and start grooming it, they might have a hard time getting those to disappear. But they're never going to catch the guy. Even if there was a law, I mean, it was a snowmobile only section, that the side by side shouldn't even be there. And there's no way to have a cop do anything about it. They weren't caught there. So then easier collaboration with our DNR contact. Again, I don't say this to beat them up. I mean, a lot of them are the boots on the ground. I personally work for a government agency, for a road commission, and I supervise a group of gentlemen that go out and maintain our roads every day, and they get beat up. They get the mean looks, they get the middle fingers, and they're doing the best they can with what they have. So is that just as fact, you know, we reach out to the DNR contacts, like, you know, what is it that you need? And we can bring that to the representative's attention too. I mean, if they're not getting the support, then they can't do their job, or maybe they're tasked with too many miles of trail or too big of a section. It's just we might not know without asking. You know, it's one of those, you don't know till you know. So, and then yeah, I mean, MISORVA is here to fight for your recreational needs. We're still working with our lobbyists and state representatives regarding the wheeled vehicle legislation. So don't feel that we're not doing that. We've actually had some talks with our lobbyists, and they're working on who's the right committee to take it to, and who's going to be the right person. And that is still set up to where we might be able to get that in front of a good committee as well. We won't know for might be another few weeks. Hopefully we'll hear something more and see how things are going. We all know Lansing moves at a snail pace sometimes. But in the meantime, we couldn't just sit around and watch paint dry. So this was kind of the unique solution that we were thinking might benefit everybody. From snowmobiles to horses and everything in between. I mean, it's going to take everybody's opinions and inputs to rebuild and or create or just maintain, the safe and good recreational trails that we have. I mean, this isn't something we need definitive answers on like right now. We don't need everybody jumping on board. I'm just shooting this out there, kind of a food for thought idea. Every user group is an expert at their own trail system, and they will know what's best, and they're going to know what the challenges are, and they're going to be the ones that are going to be able to tell us that. They're going to report back and say, well, it's going to be pretty easy for us. And somebody else, Cal Casca might say, no, this is going to be pretty tough. So just want to, leave you with one question. And it's going to be, what's it going to require of my group or club to facilitate the initiative to separate our trails? And that's going to be the main question for tonight. We get that idea and just take it and stew on it. Karen is going to have, she's going to have a few comments. I believe she had some stuff she wanted to talk about. And then we can open it up for any of the clubs that maybe have questions or comments, or maybe even testimonials, or maybe they've even been kind of thinking the same thing too. So we'll kind of see what happens.
Thanks, Scott. You did a great
Karen,
job. All
thank
that
you.
nervousness.
Oh,
You did
now I got to figure out
fantastic.
how to not share my screen.
You
There
just
we
click
go.
your
Stop
share
sharing.
button. There you
There we
go.
go.
There you go. So in the meeting, I think this is just kind of a thinking outside the box for the legislators. They're seeing the fighting, they're seeing the bickering, they're seeing this back and forth. What they also see and what means a lot to them is the tourism in our state. That's what they're looking for. They see the value of the tourism in our state. They see the value of out-of-state snowmobilers coming here, spending their money, buying our gas, staying in our motels, eating the food, enjoying what we have here. Michigan's a great place. It's a beautiful, beautiful state. There's so many cool things to see. Every single club out there has cool things to see on your trails. And they know that, and they want to get that out there. They want to use that. That's their job. So they're thinking outside the box. And the representative Martin is the chair of the Natural Resources and Tourism. This is this is his committee. This fits his bill. I think that's why he brought it to the top. So what I want to encourage you to remember here is we're only suggesting the dual sections. So for some of you, it's going to be harder than others. I know there's some clubs that their whole system is dual. Other clubs, it's going to be a little bit easier. They got a few miles stretch. There's going to be pinch points. We know that. When he said it to me, I kind of slid right out of my chair. Because I've entertained it in my head, but I have no idea how we would ever make it happen. So it's going to take, like Scott said, all of us working together with the DNR. DNR knows the land and types as well as you do. But you're the experts here. We're not asking you to go out and GPS your trails. We're not asking you to do any of those things right now. What we want you to do is simply look at your maps and let's see if this is a possibility. Can we make something like this work on these dual sections? It may come back and say, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We cannot make it happen. Bridget just said their entire system is seasonal roads. That may be easier for them. I don't know that, Bridget. I can't answer that, but I know that they're prepared to work with the forest. They're prepared to work with the DNR. They're prepared to let's make this happen. Let's try it. Let's see what's out there. It may come back and say, yeah, we can't. Or yeah, we get in the lower, but upper's gonna be tough. Upper's got a lot of permanent trail miles that are dual use. That's gonna have a different effect as well. We don't know until we explore it, and that's what we're asking for right now, is just to explore this, see if it's a possibility, see if we can make this work. If not, we'll keep trying. I don't want to give up on this because I think it's very dangerous to have the dual trails. I think that, you know, it's only a matter of time and someone's going to be hurt very, very seriously. Not to mention the extra work that's coming onto you guys, the extra grooming that you're doing, the sections you got to do 4 extra passes on just to get it flattened back down to get the 6-inch deep ruts out of it. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for solutions. We're thinking outside the box. I think the legislators are thinking outside the box, and they're prepared to help us, to help themselves, to make themselves look great, because tourism is huge in our state. So there's some things that we're working on. I don't know if anybody has, any comments, any thoughts they want to share. I see Aaron's got on here that it's a tough call on the shared trails. Yep, it is a tough call. It's a really tough call.
The other thing too, when Karen and I were at the State of the State, I just happened to know of the couple that were there. Denise Donahue is the CEO of the Michigan County Road Association, and then Ed Noila, who is basically their chief lobbyist. And Ed and Karen and I had a brief convo regarding seasonal roads and even, the county right-of-way option stuff too. So it was kind of interesting to see that even the CRA, they represent a vast majority of the counties. There's only a few of them that are technically not the counties, but I mean, he was given some good input, like, hey, we don't mind working with people. It wasn't guaranteed, but it's still, you open the door for the conversation, and that I think that's where it needs to be. Where we need to test the waters. What is it going to take? Is it gonna be? I don't know. To me, I know Karen might not know. Well, she doesn't really know the CRA, but I mean, the CRA is I think the better option when you want to talk road commission stuff than it is trying to go to individual road commissions, because they have to take everybody's thoughts. They're kind of like the lobbyists for the road commission, so they take everything into perspective and get it laid out and work on it that way. So the good conversations there in general, what are our options? And yeah, what's it, just pretty much what's it going to take? That's the main thing. What's it going to take?
Right. And that's one of the things that he talked about, was it may be granting access to places we don't have access. It may be allowing us to use roads that we don't currently use. Let's first lay this out in your area. Take your trail map and say, yeah, if we cut this one around this way, we can do a bypass here and separate. That's what we're looking at. That's the first step. With 67 grant sponsors out there, we gotta get somewhere started, and that's what we're starting with this task, because it's been put before us by the legislators, and we need their help. We need the help of the DNR. Talk to your contacts. They'll be very helpful. So they may say, you know what, everything's wet up here and it's not going to work. We can't put that in there. We can't change it. The only thing we have is the grade. They have to use it together. There's going to be pinch points. We know that. But if we can reduce the number, that will be helpful. So that's what we're looking at. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I got a comment. This is Eric from Kalkaska County Sand and Snow. A vast majority of our trail system is dual use route, snowmobile trail. Last winter, as everyone knows, the snow season was horrible. we only groomed 8 times. So we would put on our Facebook page, hey, there's not groomable snow. Go run your side-by-side, support the local businesses, et cetera, et cetera. This year, snow's been good. I groom usually 2 nights a weekend. Never ran into a side-by-side this year. Haven't had the problem, probably because the snowmobile's deep, or the snow's deep, so you're not having the side-by-side traffic. So I do get the safety aspect, but I do think our club, because we're maintaining the trail year-round through grading right up until the snow flies, sets a good flat base. So it's advantage to our club to have dual use. And we're in the process of trying to get a trail in from our trail system through Kalkaska to connect to the Traverse. And we've decided as a club, we're only going to do it if it can be dual use, because there's no use of putting snowmobile trails in the lower that are snowmobile only, that on some years ain't going to be used at all. And then you have to maintain that, even though you may have groomed it once. So I think it depends what area of the state you're in and how your trail system's set up. But some clubs are probably better off, especially if they're a dual club, to maintain the same set of route, dirt, snow year round. It makes the maintenance easier. We have a couple small sections that are snowmobile only and gated, and just to get them a couple miles ready, because they're neglected all summer, can be just as much as getting 20 miles ready for snow of our route, because we've already maintained it year round. So I just think, I don't know, personally, I'm probably not in favor of separate trails. It's just more work, more trying to get these trails put in is hard enough. And just, especially in the lower, doing snowmobile only seems like that's a waste of funds, in my opinion, but that's just my thoughts.
Oh, thank you, Eric. That's, I mean, this is what we're looking for, you know. I've got a family cottage right there off Bear Lake. I have probably been one of your nightmares in my younger years. I've ripped a number of those trails with our Jeeps in the summer. You guys have always done an exceptional job ever since I was just a teenager. I mean, that was the one thing we'd run into the groomer. We'd be out with the Jeeps in the middle of the night, and we'd have to pull over for the groomer. And I'm like, this is weird. You don't normally see the groomer. Yeah, we've ridden plenty of trails with the Jeeps over the years, and it was not that common to see a groomer, but it was very common in Kalkaska area. So I mean, thank you for everything you guys have done.
I guess I'll chime in. Our club only maintains 56 miles of trail, basically between Houghton Lake over through St. Helen and then up to Roscommon. And it's every bit of it is shared use. And I'm sure there's probably ways, there's forest roads or some roads that could be rerouted for one user or another, but there's also pretty long sections going around floodings and stuff like that, especially heading over towards Houghton Lake, that they'd literally have to cut a new trail through the woods for one group or the other to separate it. And I'm kind of on board with what Eric was saying. When we move snow, like we did last year, there was really no reason why wheeled vehicles or any other operator besides a snowmobile couldn't be out there enjoying the trails and patronizing the local businesses. This year was a little bit better. We had a few weeks in February that we were able to really get in full swing grooming snow, and the wheeled traffic that I encountered either while I was riding on my snowmobile or when I was out there in the groomer, it was minimal. And I think to some degree it was one or two things, and hopefully a combination of both. The snow was deep enough that I think some of the wheeled vehicles were having trouble moving, period, safely. And I'd like to hope it was out of respect for the snowmobilers that they were avoiding the groomed trail. I wouldn't say it would be something impossible, but it would be a monumental task to create a separate trail. And like I said, we only have 56 miles, but it's kind of a unique 56 miles as far as trying to reroute.
Yep.
And that's great, Scott. That's another thing that we all need to hear is if the sponsors are not struggling with us, if the sponsors are okay with the damage, then maybe we need to reevaluate. Maybe we need to leave it alone. That's what we need to hear. That's what we need to.
Well, I'm not okay. I'm not okay with the damage, and I'm not okay with the conflicts that we get on various Facebook pages and all that bickering back and forth. I'm not okay with that at all. But I'm just not. I mean, I'm open for suggestions too. If somebody could come up with a reason or a way in our area that could make it safe for everybody, heck yeah. But I'll think about it. I'll try, but it would be a tough. It would be a tough project over here.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be a fast, easy. Yep, it'll be ready next year. We know that. We know that. But we need to explore what's out there, and maybe in these explorations, someone else will have a better idea, a better thought, something that's easier. Mark Coe's got his hand up, Scott.
Mark, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sitting here thinking, and you're right. Snow has had a lot of years of creating trails and managing systems. We've been doing this for a long time. ORV is new. With the event and the use, would shared trail maintenance costs from the permits of each user group be used to maintain trail systems. So in a dual use system, it's what 60-40, 60% ORV use, 40% snowmobile use any given year. Rates for vehicles be adjusted accordingly to help support the maintenance of the trail systems. And then that would mean to me is to evaluate all the recreational groups individually, evaluate recreational trail development and repair needs, and then the cost for these needs would influence the price of permits and trail users. It would be really hard to separate a lot of the guys, especially new clubs that have dual use systems. Our club, we're in Michigan. We maintain 160 miles of trails in 3 counties. We don't have any ORV trails in any of our 3 counties designated ORV. We're working on that, but I also recognize that the amount of damage that we have is definitely, but it's not overwhelming. Just some way to recognize, well, a trail is being maintained and groomed, and to be able to give the authorities the tools to find people for using these trails at this time would help, I believe, deter the misuse that happens. But it's a tough thing to swallow, and there's a lot of things that need to, as this is, and this communication we're having right now is just throwing ideas out there for everybody to address them. So I think that MISORVA has done a great job, little rocky start, becoming a dual use organization. But I think as we move forward, by communicating all these needs, hopefully we can come to a conclusion to make this accessible for everybody.
Good thoughts, Mark. And that's exactly what we talked about with the representative is exactly that. We want success in the state for everyone. It's again not going to be an easy one. We know that. What have we ever done that's been easy? If you look at all the successes for the snowmobile system for all these years from what they started with and where it is now, it's never been easy. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy when they went to bat to get part of the gas tax, which ORV gets very little of. That needs to change. These are all things that we're working on behind the scenes and not ready to really pull forward with, because you got to have some idea of where you're going first, and then we can get that out there. But that's another comment that I talked with another legislator on. We need to do that. So that we get nearly $3 million into the snowmobile account from the gas tax. Boating gets 80%, and there's 6% that's left. And ORV gets a portion of that. But they should be getting as much as the snowmobile system is. Look at the gas you're running through those vehicles. These are the things that organization brings together with everybody. It's the voice that we have, and we're getting that voice back. Been tough for a few years, but that's okay. We're making our way through.
I think, Karen, I think that Eric had his hand up.
Oh, she kind of hit on it already. I was going to hit on the gas tax and the trail permits for ORVs versus snowmobile.
Right.
And there's a disconnect there. I know some clubs that aren't necessarily dual use, they probably do have to do a preseason grade of their trail. That's ORV damage. That's probably could be coming out of the snowmobile fund. To me, that's a problem. I think there's, like, our club dual use, we use ORV funds to grade the trail right up until the snow fly, so it's coming out of the ORV. I also think there's a big opportunity here. Our club, for an example, it pains me that we have 2 club-owned tractors sitting all winter in a barn, and then it pains me to see our snow equipment sit in a field all summer, knowing the expense of all this equipment. We're dual-use clubs. A lot of the equipment could be used year-round. It'd be more efficient on insurance, more efficient on wear and tear. I just think there's so many angles that can be worked on here to make this better for all user groups. It's just how do you get traction?
Yeah. Well, and Karen had a meeting with St. Germain as well, and she had some thoughts of her own on that she had brought to Karen. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
No, Scott. No.
okay. No, that's fine.
No.
I mean, that one was just kind of an off in the weeds anyways, so.
Yeah.
But, and that one, well, I know the thought on that, and that one's gonna be a hard one. That's gonna be a hard sell, but, yeah, I mean, these are the conversations we're gonna have to have. And maybe we'll send a survey out to all the sponsors and get it, you can actually throw it down on paper, and we can see how many I got this many miles, it's not feasible, or yeah, I have all these miles down around Houghton Lake, and this is going to be really hard to find a reroute around all the low lying water and everything else. Those are the things we need to hear about. Maybe this ends up transforming into, how we end up shaping where the funds go and how they get dispersed too. Maybe this is just the start of that. I don't know. So we'll see kind of where it goes.
I don't know if you guys noticed in the chat, but Holly from up at the Sioux had an interesting question that I've seen posed before regarding if ORVs want to run on a groomed trail, should they be purchasing a snowmobile permit?
I think the problem with that is they'll think they can be on all the trails. they pay the price, they can go on all the private land, everything, and that would be a disaster.
That's a similar,
Good point. I get it.
yeah, that's a similar instance we faced in the Michigan Boondocker Club. We had some guys that were riding snow bikes, and of course they're riding on a shared use trail, which technically they were legal to be there with their ORV sticker. But then they were also buying a snow permit, but they weren't using the snow permit to go elsewhere. They were doing it as a kind of a, hey, I'm trying to put the best foot forward. I know you don't like me being here, but I'm trying to use a one mile section of trail to get to my playground. But that, yeah, I think Scott's got that one right nail on the head there. You might pretty much give them that permission. They think, well, I've got the sticker, I can go wherever I want now. I mean, that's a tough one.
Some states do have a partnership with their DNR. They open and close the trails for them. When you've got enough sufficient snow, can they open and close them? That's another possibility. These are all possibilities, guys, and that's why we're bringing it to you. You're the backbone. You're working the program. We need your thoughts. I don't run a groomer. I rode in one once, but I don't run it. I don't run it on a daily basis. I'm not out in the middle of the night. You guys are. It's your systems. That's why we're coming to the experts. We're asking you your thoughts, and you're welcome to email me those. And I will pass on thoughts to our representatives, and we can go from there. Aaron, I'm having a really hard time concentrating on the meeting with your kitty on there.
Apparently Wisconsin has some sort of plan, and I haven't looked into it, and I just seen a post about it recently. And I'm not sure how well it even works, but it might be worth looking into to see. And it might be something like Karen was just saying, X amount of snow, and it's not, and the trail is close to ORVs.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're planning, and I'll look into it.
Right.
Because I'm curious and how it works and how they enforce it. Because like was mentioned right in the very beginning of Scott Burby's presentation was we can make all the rules and regulations and laws we want, but if you can't enforce it, it's not worth the paper it's written on. Exactly
what I brought up to the legislator as well. This is going to take a 1-2 punch. Law enforcement is another part of our problem, and we know that. We see that. We see that as well. That law enforcement's going to have to, maybe we need to pay a little more into law enforcement and make them more grants available for them and help that way. I don't know what the answers are, but we're looking to you, to the sponsors here, to help us figure this out and what we want, because even, it's for all of us. It's for DNR, it's for us, it's for the riders, it's for you guys. That's what we need, is to figure out what's going to work for all of us. Not just the riders, not just the sponsors. And I know some of them are sitting back shaking their head kind of like Scott and I did when he said it in the meeting. I was like, oh boy. But if you stop and look at it, few sponsors that I speak with regularly, I asked them, what do you think? And they said, well, wouldn't be real hard here, but like Paradise would be very, very difficult. We know there's going to be pinch points. Let's just uncover this first, see if the sponsors are even on board, see if the sponsors want this. If the sponsors come back and say, absolutely not, we're not doing it, well, then we're barking up the wrong tree, aren't we?
Yep.
So craft your emails, look at your maps. You could probably use the maps that are on your page, which if you need those, I can send them to you. If you have a different map and you want to mail it, we just got to have some samples. We just got to have some investigation done, because we can all look at a map and say, yep, there's a road there, use that one. Well, we all know that that's not that easy to. So you guys are the experts. We're asking you to take a look at your maps and see if you can make it work. If you can, great. If you can't, we certainly can understand that as well. Then we'll keep swinging at the the prize at the end, and that's to keep everybody happy and keep the tourism in our state what it is. That's what we want. That's at the end of the day, we want people here. We want them to come and enjoy our trails. You guys aren't grooming all night long because you don't want nobody there. Any other SAW members got any thoughts they want to add? I think Joe's been in the comments over here. They might be in shock, Scott. They might just all be in shock.
No,
But
well,
we've got some good comments over here, and you know, I think everybody needs to step back and just kind of think about it, think it through. DNR as well. If you guys see problems with that, please email me and let me know. Karen, it can't work.
well,
Yes, we
yeah.
can work.
And
Let me know. Let
some
me
of
know the
the-
thoughts. Let's get us all on the same page.
some of the stuff we're seeing in the comments, you're seeing enforcement. Well, just recently, I think it was at one of the MISORVA meetings, they brought it up about the grants for the law enforcement, and nobody really knew that was an option. And I mean, maybe it's that, maybe we start pushing on that, and on the education front. I mean, look at the impact that Kalkaska Sand and Snow has had just on their social media front. Like last year, like, all right, guys, sorry, we can't groom. Get your wheeled vehicles out, ride around to these businesses and spend some money. I mean, it could just be as simple as getting the education out. I know, well, I've talked to a few different side-by-side only people, and you kind of get this mentality of, I pay for a sticker, it's good year round, I should be able to drive all year whenever I want. And those are the same people that are griping that they got to stay out of the woods for 15 days in November. So it's just, you might not ever get rid of some of that mentality, though. That's all.
Any other closing thoughts?
No, I would just like to say thank you to everybody for your time this evening and joining us. And again, thank you for pivoting back to our virtual format here, and bring any additional thoughts or anything when we see you all tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
We know what the schedule is for tomorrow, Chad?
Yep, tomorrow we'll have little opener at 6, insurance with your club at 6:10 with Dale, and then at 7 o'clock an equipment subcommittee discussion with Carl, Joe, Scott, and myself, and Richard Kennedy will also be there to answer any questions from the DNR.
Okay, good.
So with that being said, we'll see you all back here tomorrow. And if you guys have any suggestions or anything you'd like improved that you think we can get through before tomorrow, let Karen or Gina know, and we'll see what we can do, okay? But thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Chad.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Gina, Karen.
See you guys. See you tomorrow.
Have a good night.